Tait. Welcome to Tuesday Spark. It's about information, inspiration, and insight. Listen, I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm just trying to get you to think. So it only takes a spark in order to start a fire. So let's spark it up. Before we get started, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube page. It's Dr. Lewis Tait Jr. And also you can subscribe to the Village Church DC. Please subscribe. It's free. And we also come on Twitter as well. So you can catch us at any time. So June is Black Music Month. So I want to talk about today. What would you do without black music? Have you ever thought about if you didn't have black music? Think about if the world didn't have black music. And so, it started in 1979. Jimmy Carter sort of gave a decree that June would be Black Music Month. And, I just love black music, especially, I just love the creative genius of black people when it comes to music. I mean, from all kinds of music, from country and western to rock, to what we call rhythm and blues or soul music, to gospel, to jazz, even classical. But it's something about when black people do music, and it's something about when I say black music in terms of our contribution to sort of music in general everywhere, particularly in this country. And of course, I thought about it, saying, music, how did we get so, I guess, feeling and so much into it? You think about call and response when you come out of the church. But, black music is sort of born out of sort of the heart and soul of African American people. And it seems to be a music that tells stories and about our challenges, about the crisis, about family, about friends, about love, about breakup, disappointment, and celebration. It's rich. This is a rich sort of form of music, and it's broad in this sense. So, think about it. If you're feeling depressed, and I know I do at times, you put on a little Bob Marley and listen to him, you kind of get perked up. Or you want to think about doing something, or making things happen in life, you put on a little old Sam Cooke, and he says change is going to come, even though other people have done it. But you got to listen to Sam Cooke the way he does it. And then, of course, my good old girl, Mary J. Blige, just fine. Or Liz Wright, I've got to use my imagination. And when you need some attention, you got to listen to her. And Can You Focus on Me? I love that song. I wish you would just focus on me. Can you focus on me? Man, I needed that song a long time ago. Can you focus on me? So black music, so that's forged out of bondage. The sounds come from the genius and artistic freedom that was often realized by these artists and not necessarily other places. And they were able to express themselves through the arts. And so why do you think that is? And why do you think people have wanted to steal our music? I mean, for a long time, like the Doobie Brothers era, Michael McDonald, Kenny Loggins, Elvis Presley, Steely Dan, Eminem, Tina Marie, Amy Whitehouse, and the list goes on of people who have mimicked black music, and some have just outright stole it and taken it on as themselves and did it like it was theirs. And the music of African Americans is one of the most poetic and inescapable examples of the importance of African American experience to the cultural heritage of this country, regardless of race or origin. I mean, the importance of black music is something. You can go to Africa. I've been in Africa, and you will hear black music, and you can hear sort of our connection to there, some of the sounds that are there that are here, which tells you that we didn't lose everything during the Middle Passage. I love black music. And where did this music comes from somewhere down and deep, born out of these experiences that we've gone through. If you ever listen to the blues, and I started listening to some of it, and there's a guy named Clark that I listen to sometimes. He's a young cat. And you could hear some of that. Of course, we know about Muddy Waters and all these other people. And you hear them tell these stories about what it's like growing up, say, in the Mississippi Delta or Alabama, or what it's like to be dealing with the harshness of life. And when you listen to black music, what do you think you are hearing when you listen to this music? How does it make you feel? And do you hear sometimes the sounds of protest? Some would say it is the sound of brick and mortar, literally for real. One writer said historically, black Americans have been amongst the primary influences of music, of the music culture. Genres that were born of black misery and triumph and endurance, protest and expression have changed the way the entire world sounds. But it's undeniable that many of these songs were and still are shaped by the fatigue of constant protest that comes with the black experience, particularly in America. But if you go to Great Britain or you go to these other places, sometimes you kind of hear that sound. You hear, you feel, you understand the very existence and the survival of black people in the United States of America is an act of resistance and rebellion, especially in the arts. That's why music has been so important. And do you hear those sounds of rebellion? Do you hear the sounds of resistance? Do you hear the sounds of joy, like Frankie Beverly and Mays that gave us joy and pain? Remember when you first found love, how you felt so good, the kind that lasts forever, more so you thought it would. Suddenly, the things you see got you hurt so bad, so bad. How come the things that make us happy make us sad? It seems to me that joy and pain are like sunshine and rain. Love can be bitter and love can be sweet. Sometimes devotion and sometimes deceit. The ones that you care for give so much pain. Oh, it's all right. They're both one and the same. That line used to kill me. You say both one and the same, which the music is expressing that you know, joy and pain. You really got to have them both. Because in any relationship, there's joy at times, and then sometimes there's some absolute downright pain. And so, as a son of an African American Pentecostal preacher, I remember being in church, and I used to play the drums, but I was in love with the Hammond organ because of the sound that it would produce. I mean, you didn't need to have a lot of instrumentations in the church. If you had a Hammond organ, you had a drum and perhaps a guitarist or maybe a bass guitar. Sometimes you didn't have that. You just had a Hammond and a drummer. Man, you're talking about the sounds that came about it. You're talking about how it seems when they started to play, and I love the Hammond organ players because they seem to conjure up the spirit. I mean, because folks, when they started playing, oh man, people would shout to a frenzy. They had a way of playing that, you know, it was almost magical. And even how they would accent the preaching, we call playing, you know, playing behind the preacher and all that kind of stuff. And it was magical. It was wonderful. So because I loved Hammond so much, I found this guy named Corey Henry, who's a beast on the Hammond. I mean, he's an absolute beast. He grew up in the church. He started playing about 4 or 5. I think his feet couldn't even touch the pedals. I think he made little business cards. He would go around playing funerals, and his mother used to take him around. And this dude is a beast. Right up out of the church, and he plays everything. There's another young cat that's on the rise named Matthew Whitaker, who's a musical savant who was born blind and has been performing all over the world since he was 11 years old. He was on 60 Minutes a few months ago. And his Hammond organ playing is lethal. And all of these guys play all the keyboards, but I love the Hammond. Jimmy Smith, though, is probably considered one of the greatest Hammond organ players of all time. He's an old school guy. But what does black music really say to you? Have you ever thought if there was no black music in the world, what kind of world it would be? Think about it. All of the people that you love to listen to and love to hear, we often talk about the Motown sound. What would happen if we hadn't heard of the Supremes or the Temptations or Stevie Wonder? All of these different artists in their music. James Brown is being sampled today by many rap artists. I mean, you think about that. What do you listen to when you need to get up for a game or get up to go to work in the morning? What do you listen to? Have you noticed when you listen to shows, they're playing this black music as it introduces some beer commercial or some commercial, or if you're watching sports, there's some song that comes on in this black music. So how has black music influenced your life? That's what I want you to think about today. If you got an answer, give it to me. Have a good evening.